Hey everybody. So what is this video about? I don't know. I've been shooting videos periodically, but a lot of them I ain't posting till after I'm gone, because I don't know, just how I'm doing it. You know, I could care less about what feathers I ruffle when they can't affect me. Well, hopefully can't affect me. I'm not one to cause drama, so if I'm gone, can't cause drama, right? This one I'm considering posting. I had intentions of burning off freaking train. It must have knew I was taking a hike. Must have knew I was gonna take a walk, so they sent in the train. So annoying. But anyways, I had intentions of picking a Sunday and going and burning off the copper I got, because it's about one whole load. Not sure how to exactly, I don't weigh it or anything, so it's about one whole load worth to process out. So I was gonna throw it in my backpack and find a place out in the middle of nowhere and clean it up. When I went out this morning, like 11:30, it was pretty cold, like, I don't know, 15, 20 degrees maybe. And, you know, now it's like 30, maybe 40 degrees. So I could have, and I really wrestled with the idea, but ultimately I decided not to. My reasons is, one, it's just cold enough to be uncomfortable to be out in the woods for, 4 or 5 hours. And if things go swimmingly, I'm gonna have plenty of uncomfortable time in the woods later. So, secondly, I haven't checked the prices in a while, but I highly doubt they're an acceptable level. So, I'm probably not even going to be taking in the scrap metal until early to late spring. On top of that, I'm not getting much to actually process, so it's not really building up. Like, even if I went out hunting some more, we're talking, like, from what I know, there's the possibility of 2 vacuum cleaners and a possibility of 2 televisions. And all that together isn't horrible, but if the television's cords have been clipped and the ring around the outside is aluminum, then that takes away a ton of the profit. There's not much to vacuums to begin with, and I know already that these cords are cut. So the only thing I'd get out of the vacuum is the motor, and that's almost entirely iron or steel. And the only thing, and if the easy part is aluminum too, then that's basically completely pointless. So we'd be talking, the best thing would be the 2 televisions. And 2 televisions is probably barely a pound of copper, even if everything goes right. Even if the yoke is there and the copper wire that goes around the screen, even if both those pieces are there, it's still probably like a pound. So for 2 TVs, so it's barely worth it. Like, it's just worth it enough for me to go and do it someday, but not worth it for me to put it on the high priority list. So excuse me, that's that. I do have a fair amount filled up, but I'm in no rush because I'm not really planning on taking it in until the price goes up to a, decent amount. Because right now it's whenever I last checked, it was kind of sad and pathetic. It was like maybe $2.10, $1.90. I want to try real hard for at least $3. But with there only being, well, I heard rumors of the president or the government taxing outsourced metals so that other countries buy from other places rather than us, keeping the price low. And there's also the factor that in my town, within reasonable distance, there is only one scrapyard. So they can give you a little less because you're probably going to go there because you don't have any other choice. So with those two factors, I'm kind of playing the waiting game. Because I haven't been smoking. I quit smoking again on New Year's. And today is like, I don't know what day it is. The 20th maybe? Maybe? What day is it? The 15th? And I quit before that, and then I got really drunk on New Year's. So I had a few smokes, and then I just continued the quitting. Because, well, overall, between the negative health, how it does nothing for me, and the crippling price tag, it's just, I've been wanting to quit forever. Like, half the reason I do it is because I don't do anything else. And it's an addiction. And, even as great as I am still susceptible to some addiction. I haven't really been drinking, except for the holidays. And for some reason, the last couple of times I went out drinking, different people keep buying me drinks. The one time I didn't even know who the guy was. Yeah, they're not girls, of course. No pretty girl is buying me a drink, unfortunately. But, my brother showed up for New Year's, and he got me 2 drinks for, whatever reason. I was already pretty toasted by the time he got there. I mean, he showed up at like, shit, I don't know. Or crap, I don't know. 11:45, because it was like, they did the whole New Year's thing shortly after he got there, but don't quote me, because like I said, I was at least a 6-pack deep, and I did 3 shots with a neighbor before I even went to the bar. So, I was just drunk enough to not care. So I ain't really spending money on much of anything other than the gear I need to get ready for this trip. So I haven't really been wasting money on much stuff because I don't really want to go drinking, because usually when I drink, I'm drinking alone, or I'm going and shooting pool alone, and I'm drinking overpriced beer to play pool by myself most of the time. And as cool as that is, it's something to do. It's not much less depressing than me just sitting in my room with the lights off, crying in the corner with a 40 in my hand. I mean, I'm already depressed. I don't need that kind of crap. So I was going for a little while to try to spend some time talking to the bartender that's relatively my age, but yeah, that's if I posted the other video, that's another lost cause. Like, things keep making noise around me and I can't see them, and that's weird. I can usually pick out movement. I think maybe the rocks are just pulling loose from the frost. Now, the thing about this year is it's been really warm and really cold. So that means the water gets between the cracks of the rock, freezes, pushes the rock from its expansion, melts, freezes, pushes the rock, so on and so forth, until the wall gives way. And it's happening more, in my opinion. I don't pay too much attention to the weather and stuff, but in my opinion, scientifically, that's what's happening. And because this year the temperature's fluctuating so drastically that it's pushing the rock more and more often. And that could be proven. Well, proven might be a strong word, but a contributing factor to my hypothesis is that there are so many rocks laying along the path that came off the wall. So it just makes sense. I mean, that there's more this year because of the drastic fluctuation in temperature. Like I said, I like science. That doesn't mean I'm a scientist. So yeah, I guess you can't really call that science anyway. It's just more common sense. I mean, as long as you know that water expands when it freezes, you pretty much got that whole concept down pat. So it warmed up drastically. One of the reasons I didn't go and actually burn off the copper today is because I figured I want to wait till there's a couple inches of snow on the ground, because then I can cool it off quicker. I don't mind burning. I don't know what would be a good way of saying how much copper is there. It's like, if you cut the top off a gallon jug and you stuffed it all in there, it'd probably be full. So about that much wire. I don't mind sitting there while it burns, but then it takes so long to cool off. And after I was cleaning up a bunch at my uncle's house once upon a time, I realized that some of the more fibrous copper, the heat breaks it down, and you don't get it all back. Because the insulation on the wire burns rather hot, because it's a petroleum product. So it burns at a slightly higher temperature, and it can sometimes oxidize the copper, especially the thinner strands, to nothingness, or to actually falling apart. And you lose a bunch in the ashes, which isn't the end of the world, but this job already doesn't pay that much, so throwing it out the window is stupid. So last time I went, or a long time ago, excuse me, a long time ago, I went to one of the thrift stores around here, and I found like a metal stainless steel like wire basket, and it's not huge. I don't know what it's used for, but it's really good for what I'm doing, because if I put it's shaped kind of like a normal bowl, except probably like 3 times the size. And so I don't know how to describe it. I can show you guys sometime. But anyways, it's I put like the motor pieces that have the glue on them in the bottom. Then I put like the rolled up vacuum wire that I strip and put along the sides. And then I put the loose little stuff that I cut off circuit boards in the middle, and then I burn it right in that container so that it catches most of it. So that, yeah, I probably lose some, but I'm losing a lot less. The motors I'm talking about are the ones in the vacuums. I typically burn those, which is a huge waste. There's not much on them, but they're really hard to get apart if you don't, remove all that glue. So it's a really easy way of doing it. And again, it's a complete waste, but I think it does increase the price ever so slightly. Like the amount of money you get for the motor. I think you get a little bit more taking the copper out of it. Not much. I mean, we're talking like pennies. Maybe a dime, not much. But a little bit more. And, considering I take everything in a backpack, and I carry the backpack down there, you get a little bit more money, and you drastically reduce the weight by getting rid of the steel. So, what I typically do is I burn those along with the wire. Then I'll take now I could take my angle grinder and just cut the bottoms off and pound it through with a punch. But to save angle grinder discs, I usually use my hacksaw, because the hacksaw is a lot easier to use one-handed, and I don't have very many ways to excuse me. I don't have very many ways to secure something round to my table. So I usually hold, I know this probably sounds stupid, but if you're careful and not an idiot, it's not that dangerous. I usually hold the motor in one hand and the angle grinder in the other hand, and I can saw the end off. But I figured for a small bit of extra workout and the saving the angle grinder discs, and I just, saw through the copper real quick with a hacksaw. It really doesn't take long. And my hacksaw is fairly new because I have barely any reason to use it. So it's cheap, but the blade's still good enough to saw through it pretty quick. And then I take whatever thing I can fit in the hole and pound the copper through, pull it out with pliers, and we're nice and done. Usually, if I get a good flow going, got some music playing, maybe drank a beer, I can clear them out. I can clear one out like every 5 minutes. If I use the angle grinder and I don't waste my time with the little tabs at the top, I could clear them all out in 5 minutes. But like I said, I don't have a high enough volume of stuff to value my time over the product. So like I told somebody in the comments about scrapping metal, they're like, oh, is it worth it to pull the plug ends out of the wire ends for the brass? No, it's not. It's stupid. It's no matter how you do it, it's either a fair amount of setup or a fair amount of work. And you're talking literally 3 grams of brass, which I guess would be approximately a half an ounce of brass. It's definitely not worth it. But if you're not pumping out, 40 TVs, 50 TVs, and you have them laying around, why not do it? I did a bunch of them because, I'd be bored, have beer or something. I'll have like 3 beer in the fridge from a night I went out drinking, and be like, well, I don't want to just sit here and drink. And I'll go and rip the brass pieces out of the plugs. It's not worth it. But if you ain't got nothing else to do, and you value your time, at least you're making something. You're doing something. The same with the motors, It's probably not worth it. But for me, to reduce the weight that I'm carrying to the scrapyard while keeping the price the same or greater is worth it to me, because I don't get enough of them. I don't get enough of them to matter. If I got like those gas station milk crates full of the things, I'd probably wait for my aunt to want to go shopping someday and just drop them off on the way, because it wouldn't be worth it for me to burn them all and cut them all and take them all apart. But I don't get that many. I get maybe 5 or 6, Back to I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just kind of wasting time, because why not? I wanted to get a little bit of exercise while it's relatively nice out today. But, I said about the vacuum cords, how I tie them up. See, I know burning the copper is not environmentally friendly. I know it might even be technically illegal. But, with that being said, what do you think happens to it when they melt it down? Like, it's still releasing fumes. Some instances it's still burning. Like, I highly doubt some of that wire that they sit and strip it. I highly doubt it. Could I be wrong? Maybe. But for me, I'm environmentally conscious enough to take that extra amount of time, and I'll pull the bigger rubber coating off the outside, and I'll take the twine out, or the whatever materials in there out, and then I'll have just single coated copper wire, and that's what I burn. I know for some people that makes no sense, but to me, not only is that outer coating probably half the weight of the total plug, it's also emitting so much junk into the air that I don't need to do. Like, for instance, it might take me 5 minutes to strip off, a few, 3 or 4 vacuum plugs. If I went to burn it, it would burn that much hotter, put that much more into the atmosphere, and take that much longer to burn. It's just not, to me, it's a good trade-off. Again, a lot of people probably won't see it that way, but obviously with the way the world is, and where I am in the world, it doesn't really matter how I do things, because I'm going to be wrong no matter what. So, whatever. One thing that bothers me is what I do benefits me in no way. Like, stripping that extra coating off subtracts money, because the scrapyard I go to pays the same for a vacuum cord cut straight off the vacuum as it does for the wires, even if you strip it. I was under the impression, in other scrapyards I dealt with, and other YouTubers, that if you take a vacuum cord, and you take it in, it's like low-grade appliance wire. You get like the bare minimum. But if you strip the outside coating off, and you take that cord out of there, you got a single strand of copper wire coated with a single coating on each one, making it mid-grade. And I guess my scrapyard just doesn't do that, doesn't care, doesn't know what they're talking about. But like I said, when you're the only scrapyard in the area, you can basically walk up to a scrapper, kick him in the nuts, take his lunch money, and tell him to deal with it. Especially if you're someone like me that can't find real work. It's a perpetual vicious cycle of bullying just out of high school. I'm not completely saying that they're unfair. I feel that there were some instances that were unfair, but I have no proof. So, And I'm not saying that they're super unfair, because if it's true about the president taxing exported metals, making it so other countries are buying it from different countries rather than us, would keep the price lower. But I'm pretty sure there's still third-party shipping and stuff, so I don't really understand how much that would really impact it. I guess for like bigger companies, but long story short, it's I can see how that could influence the price pretty drastically. So like if I see some Aussie on the YouTube saying they're getting, $4 or $5 US per pound, that's because other countries are buying it from their country, raising their demand, and because we have an extra tax on ours, they're not going to buy from us, lowering our demand. Thus, this is now an economics class, and you now just learned supply and demand on a world scale, on the more global side of things. So I mean, like simply put, in life, it's hard to point the finger the more people that get involved. Sometimes it's harder to figure things out. If not everybody's working for the same thing, you get more people involved, it adds more variables. So, when you're working as far as different countries working with each other, you know, this person did this to raise the taxes, this person did this to lower them. It turns into a big cluster, you know, so, I don't know. Another train. I'm almost at the end of the trail and I gotta pee. So, I may or may not post this. It's basically just a big waste of time anyway. But, I might do another video sometime sooner or later, because good old grandma said something today that was slightly interesting. And, I was going to talk about it today, and I really don't give a rat's butt. So, you know what, screw it, I got a couple of minutes. She said that when and if she found out that I'm leaving, probably either through my aunt or the Walmart packages or whatever, she found out that I actually am planning to leave. And she's like, if you leave, I'm going to get less stuff because the house is set up for 2 people or something. So like welfare, oil assistance, electrical assistance, and stuff like that. So she'll get less because she'll be the only person there. I'm not sure what kind of response she was looking for, because if you know anything about my grandmother, she rarely says much of anything without expecting some sort of, you know, a specific type of reply. So I pretty much didn't say anything. I was like, well, that's probably something you should have thought about, you know, before being completely unfair. So, but I said that I was walking out the door. I doubt she even heard me, and if she did, I don't give a crap, because I'm right and she's wrong. Anyways, so I was waiting for her to bring it up again. I was going to be like, yo, you know what? Why don't you, you know, have somebody jump me and break my leg? Then I'll be bedridden. You can have complete control over me, and my window will close for me to be able to leave, and then you'll have me stuck here for another year. Or why don't you get me some sort of uncurable disease, like cancer or something, so then it's like not, so then I can't leave. You know? And I was thinking about it, and here's on a larger scale, you know. One of the things she said that she wasn't going to get help for, and this is what triggered this thought, is that she says she won't get help for the heating oil at the house. And I was like, well, there's countries all over the world that sacrifice hundreds of thousands of lives over oil. What's mine? You know? There's countries all over the world that kill each other over oil. Why not just, you know, have me a literal prisoner, you know? Like, I was waiting for her to run her mouth so I could say all this, but then I decided that wasting my breath doesn't really matter. Yeah, I don't know. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, better men than me have had their lives ruined. Better men than me have died over some countries' need for oil and violence. So it just made me think of that, and I'm like, you know, why don't you just have me beaten or diseased or bedridden, or, you know, hire someone to jump me and steal my money, because if I ain't got no money, then I definitely ain't going to many places. Granted, I don't always carry my money on me, because I'm not an idiot. Especially when I'm hiking, because I figure if somebody's going to jump me, then that'd be a decent time to do it. But, yeah, like I said, I still have a level of paranoia quite oftenly. But I have been jumped before. Luckily, they didn't steal anything, so it was just like I said, it was like thugs in training, initiation for a gang or something. You gotta jump the next white guy that walks down this trail. I'm not racist either. The white guy part was just because they're all black. I'm not racist. I don't want to say I have black friends. I ain't got no friends no more. But I know black people that are better than white people. So, yeah, I'm definitely not racist. Not against color, more about mentality, maybe. Yeah. I was like, it doesn't really make a difference because, you know, it looks like we're both going to have our struggles. The difference between my struggles and her struggles is I'm more than likely going to have to solve it on my own. I'm going to have to solve the problems on my own. She's an 80-year-old woman. Somebody's going to take care of her no matter what. So she wins. Like, no matter what happens, I can't see her losing the situation. So I don't know what her plan is. I don't know if she's trying to change my mind, trying to make me feel bad, or trying to make me think I won. I'm not sure. But I'm not a fool. I'm not an idiot. I can't see a way that I genuinely win and she genuinely loses. Not that I care if she loses. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see some justice. But my life is more important than revenge. My life is more important than trying to rebalance a world that's so far gone. So, yes. So I don't know. Like I said, she doesn't usually say something without some sort of reason. But I don't know what that reason would be. It could be, like I said, it could be several things. I guess for the majority, it just, I guess the only thing it really accomplished was getting me thinking. Anyways, I gotta pee. It's not gonna wait, and the trailhead's like right down there, so I gotta make this happen. Thanks for watching, and I will see you eventually.